One man plants, another man waters, but only God gives the increase. Just like they can't be me, I can't be them. I came to plant. I think I planted pretty good.
So Pastor T.D. Jakes finally steps down as the lead pastor of the Potter's House. But then, did he hand things over to Sarah, Pastor Sarah precisely, the daughter? Or did he hand things over to Pastor Sarah and Pastor Sarah's husband? This came with a lot of backlash, especially those who were like, whoa, no way, a woman cannot be my pastor, you know, that kind of thing. And but then, is it really what he did? Let us analyze what the critics are saying with an open heart, okay? And then also let us analyze what Pastor T.D. Jakes did. And also let us think about what the Bible says about this. Let's jump right into it.
About 6 years ago, I started talking to Pastor Toure and Pastor Sarah because I did not want all that I had spent my life and your life and our lives building to get old and go with us. This is a generational. And even though she was busy doing Woman Evolved and he was busy pastoring One LA, about 4 years ago, they moved out here just in time for COVID. God has a sense of humor. He throws you in the water and then says swim. So for the last 4 years, they have been swimming. I talked to the board because I was concerned. I have seen too many men build something and stay so long that they kill what they build. What you gotta understand is it's not so important that you just know when to grab a hold. It's knowing when to let go.
Of course, it's not all about holding. It's also about knowing when to let go, right? Because the book of Ecclesiastes says there's time for everything. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to build, and a time to tear down. I think it's really time for him to go. Yeah, because when you look at him, you can see his hands. They look frail, like shaky. When you look close, you will see what I'm saying. And I think it's wise that he moves on, right?
To risk something happening to me and you be sheep without a shepherd. I cannot
So this would be the main
afford
reason why he's doing what he's doing.
to let all the work of all the saints living and dead to hold this so tight, so long that I wither away. So I'm suggesting to you, I'm recommending to you that you receive Pastor Toure and Pastor Sarah Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. Come on. This is legacy. Not because they're kin, but because they're the kind. They've immersed themselves into the DNA of this church for years. Sat quiet, preached. What you didn't know, from November forward, they've been running the church anyway.
Now, number one backlash is not because of he is stepping down, but because of the perceived intent of one of the choices that he made, which is Pastor Toure. Okay, Pastor Toure has a church in LA that he was managing, but then he left that church for this bigger ministry. Now, listen to this guy and tell me what you think.
Well, what kind of shepherd are you when you leave the flock? Because you left the flock because you saw an opportunity to go shepherd a bigger flock. You saw opportunity. You saw fame. You saw name. You saw brand building. You saw, well, let's be honest, as we says, and that's why I like the King James Version, filthy lucre. You saw more money. That's what you saw. Let's just be clear. This is the reason for this move, because this is dynasty. This is a legacy being protected here.
Now, I don't think that's part of the plans for Pastor Toure, but I guess it just happened. And I also don't think it's a part of the plans for Pastor T.D. Jakes, because during the beginning of this, sermon or his talk, he said something about it. Like, he said it wasn't part of his plans, but it happened. Just listen.
You all know for years, I have been talking about it. It may not work out the way I plan it, but I get on my knees and pray, and I plan my life in decades.
Now, the second criticism was that he handed over to a woman, right? I personally don't think that he handed over to his daughter. And I'm going to show you the reason why I said so. But I think that this video confused a lot of people.
I will take my coat off my body, and I will cover you and their family and their creativity. There is no way you could do what you have done and travel from city to city to city, packing out auditoriums and stadiums without the hand of God being upon you. Open your eyes and see. No man can do these things.
Now, that video was a while ago, but people think he actually made the woman the lead pastor. I don't think that's what it is, and I'm going to tell you why as well. Let me show you the reason I think so.
We need fresh vision, fresh blood. We need the ability, as the world changes to technology and TV slides backwards. But I wanted to introduce to you your pastors.
Now, did you hear that? He said, I want to introduce to you your pastors with an S. He didn't say your pastor.
But I wanted to introduce to you your pastors.
So the third criticism is that he chose a family member in order to keep the money or the family business or legacy in the family. In other words, it's no longer church, it's no longer God's business, but family business. But then I differ. I want to say, I don't think that T.D. Jakes chose a son-in-law who was a pastor. It happened, so it worked out for him. For God's sake, you know that a son-in-law, for some reasons, might be a drug addict, and then if he's a drug addict, then he cannot fit in that position. So I would say it really worked out for him. And why not keep it in the family, especially if the daughter is doing the right thing and the son-in-law is doing the right thing, and if they are being tested and trusted. And I think it's not the daughter. I think it's, pretty much both of them. And if that's the case, it means that the man who is the head of the family will be the head of the church. This is my thoughts. There is a lot of criticism of his daughter not being competent. I don't know if that means anything, but I saw this video and I'm going to share it.
So that it can be bound the way it's supposed to be bound in heaven. Sometimes you got to bind up your own mouth. Sometimes you got to bind up your own thoughts. That's why we bring every thought into captivity. Because if this thought can't exist in the heavenly realms, it can't exist. I'm trying to become more like God. I'm preparing for the moment He takes me up. I'm practicing on earth. So I bind every thought.
Is it just me, or did anybody notice the mom waving her hands like, I don't know what that is? Almost like trying to tell her to stop. I really don't know. But then there is a lot of divided house on if a woman should be on the pulpit preaching or if they shouldn't.
In 1 Corinthians 14:34, the women should keep silence in churches, for they are not permitted to speak, but should be subordinate, as even the law says.
1 Timothy 2:12, I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be quiet. Now let's hear what this man says about this, and I'd also like to hear what you think about this.
The question was prompted by someone who wanted to know, should I continue to stay in a church that has a woman as a pastor?
Well, that church has no pastor.
What does the Bible say about female pastors? Well, it's important to remember that this is not an issue between men versus women, but an issue of biblical interpretation. The Bible says a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. In the church, God gives different roles to men and women. This is a result of the way that mankind was formed and the way that sin entered the earth. Many women excel in the gift of hospitality, teaching, evangelism, and serving. In fact, much of the ministry of the local church depends on women. Women, just as much as men, are called to demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit and to proclaim the gospel to the lost. This does not make women any less important. Rather, it gives them a ministry to focus on that aligns with God's.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of divided interest on this. And, traditional view, they see exactly what the Bible said. Don't let the woman do what they're gifting or whatever. Because I've actually seen a lot of women who can preach very well. But then the progressive view believes that women should be allowed to do those things. Like if you go to some churches, you can see some women preaching and they are doing very well. But then in the middle ground, they believe that women should be allowed to do some things, but not like have a lead over men as lead pastors. Let me know what you think about those things, about women, especially, with Sarah being one of the pastors in Potter's church. And let me know what you think about this. Do you think women should be allowed to preach in the altar, regardless of their gifting? And do you think it's wrong? I would like to hear what you think in the comment, and I'll see you next time. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video so that others would see. See you next time. Peace.